We're going to try something new with character balance in this expansion. We're intentionally making no changes to character power. That means no nerfs, no buffs, nothing. Every single build and build guide made for Siege of the Atlas will work exactly the same in Sentinel. You can start planning your League starter right now with full confidence about exactly how it's going to play.
No, 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 no. Oh, no, no, no. What up, boys? It looks like we got debated. So I wanted to make a little update video, updating you guys on the whole situation about Omniscience and what we can do to mend the situation. And you know, we pretty much come to a you know, where my FSG helped me out with the PoB a little bit. I've been playing a lot. I myself have league started the Champions, and it's been a really good league start. But yeah, I mean, I was hoping that Omniscience would come down, thinking maybe more people start farming the boss, more people start dropping the item, and it turns out that every time I refresh this page, the price just keeps going up. So a lot of people asking me, you know, is it gonna go down Tuna? Is it going to go down? And you know, unfortunately, I can't really recommend this item anymore to people. We went from it being 10 chaos last league start to it being 8 exalts at the first listing to now 53 exalts. Is completely absurd. I myself bought it for 35. But it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to show you now an alternative, and you know, our Omniscience endgame min-max PoB is sitting at around like 12.4 mil. But we have come to an alternative with the Yoke of Suffering, the Giga Chat Amulet, which is 9.7 mil. So we lost a couple mils here and there, but the difference for that is that you can make the whole build for pretty much the same price, or even less than just the amulet itself. If you look at here, the Yoke of Suffering, and you most likely be able to get this with corruptions as well. It's 2 chaos. Look at that. Maybe you can look for, I don't know, a cool corruption on it as well. I won't really say exactly what corruptions you can get on it, so that they don't go skyrocketing in price or whatever, so you're gonna have to make your own search for that. Yeah, so the difference here is that we're now using the Yoke of Suffering instead, and what that allows us to do is that allows us to get huge shocks. So with a 1.2 mil hit on our projectiles, and then a 1 point something mil on our strikes, 1.1 mil on our strikes, we will be hitting 50% shocks, because all of our damage is converted to well, it's not converted to lightning, but what happens is that all of our damage counts as if it's lightning damage, and with 1.2 mil we'll be able to get 50% shocks on you know, like Shaper and all that stuff. So for mapping and whatnot, it's going to be plenty of damage to get those full shocks in. And on top of that, since we are using Trinity, we're dealing all 3 ailments. We're getting 5% increased damage per ailment, and yeah, basically it's going to give us additional damage there on top of that. And everything else is pretty much the same. Everything is just basic stuff, aside for the fact that we don't go for attribute gear anymore. All we're doing is just filling out our elemental avoidance, our elemental resistance, and our suppression on our gear. So on our shield, we're going for T1 elemental avoidance and crafted suppression with life and some resistance. We're still using a Blizzard Crown. On the Blizzard Crown, we're probably going to need some attributes as well. You do not need the dexterity, but the intelligence. However, you'll be able to get that anywhere else, and the rest of the time you're just filling your resistances. Alternatively, you can also get like a much better helmet than this, or you can use the goal if you're mapping and keep the shrine nodes. That is completely fine. If you just want to focus on mapping, I think the goal is the best. But if you want to actually, you know, do some bosses or whatever, you can also have like a swap for this helmet, and that's going to deal a substantial amount of damage. It's a lot of damage on this, so for sure worth it. Our chest, you know, there's not many unique chests that I would recommend. It's always better to go for a rare chest these days, and that's because you can get implicits with aura effect, and you can get aura effect like evasion, grace, and determination on there, depending on which one is the lowest sum. So for example, if I have 77,000 evasion and 70,000 armor, I could also swap this for determination, and hopefully that becomes more even, because the whole scope of this the Perseverance spell is to get these as close to each other as possible. For our gloves, we can also make insane gloves these days with recombiners. So you can get 2 tempo mods and you can recombine them together. And it's not exactly like guaranteed every time, but if you do this enough times, you're going to be able to get those 2 together. You might not actually end up having a choice on the base in regards to whether you can get like the best base, which is Dragon Scale Gauntlets. But that's why we put just an evasion base here, just in case you couldn't get the best base or anything like that. So what you do with this is you grab a base with chilled enemies or shocked enemies, and then a base with burning enemies, and then you recombine until you get those 2 mods to merge onto one item. And hopefully what you do is you end up with this. So you get both those mods, 40% increased damage, as well as flat fire damage to burning enemies, which is something that you'll be able to achieve quite easily with not that much currency. For the claw, we're also using recombiners, and you know there's a way to do that where you could just get essence modifiers and you keep recombining them until you get 3 essence modifiers on the claw, and then you just craft your suffixes from there. It's also relatively cheap, so you can make like almost like a 900 DPS claw these days for, you know, under 5x, which is absolutely insane since people are still selling them for 30x. Our rings, we're still taking Mark of the Elder. That Mark of the Elder is just crazy. So there's gonna be no other cheap solution here. It's 50 chaos currently, and yeah, you can just get a Shaper ring with just a little bit of resistance, accuracy. All of these things can be improved, right? You can always get like elemental damage with attacks and things like that. Most of the gear here is very template, so yeah, I mean, you don't have to follow everything to a T, but it's just a suggestion as to how you should equip your things. In regards to how you can fill your suppression to get to 100%, and how you can fill your ailment avoidance to get that to 100% as well. And that's how we do it there. The boots, you know, we're looking for just life and movement speed, and that's pretty much it. And then we can get some suppression as a suffix, maybe some resistances, and we can craft a void element at 35%, and that will cap us at 100% of void ailments. For the bell, of course, we're using Perseverance still. This is giving us 40% more damage as well as permanent onslaught and resistance 10% life. So that is a great bell to have. And also we have some jewels here on the tree. These are also suggestions. So I like to put my Lethal Pride here because that leaves space for 2 Inspired Learnings. I really like Inspired Learnings currently. I think they're really good. I've done testing with both Headhunter and Inspired Learnings. 2 Inspired Learnings pretty much is exactly the same feeling as Headhunter at the moment. This is pre-buffs, right? Copium. We're going to get some buffs soon, boys. It's going to be insane. Once again, we're all going to be happy. We're going to be holding hands with our 50 buffs. They're still going to stack, and yep, it's going to be great, guys. Yeah, so I put my Lethal Pride here, and that's because we want to look for maybe some double damage, or maybe some attributes even, or percent armor, you know, things like that. It's some really good stuff. So +1 fortification doesn't do anything for champion because we have a flat 20% fortification, so yeah, doesn't really do anything. I'm going to swap these nodes out here for aesthetics. You know, it's very important for a build. And we have a second Inspired Learning here that also hits all these nodes, and that is going to guarantee us to, you know, be able to use those 2. That's very nice. For the Watcher's Eye, the Watcher's Eye is not too important what you get on there, but things I do recommend is attack speed precision, crit precision, multi-precision, or percent attack damage precision. Those are the main mods that we actually want as a primary mod, and secondary mod could be anything from physical damage reduction from Grace, flat armor, physical damage reduction from Determination, flat armor, or you can get evade chance with Grace, spell suppression with Grace if you haven't capped it on your gear, or alternatively movement speed as well is a great one. The one that I currently got in game is movement speed while affected by Grace, and attack damage while affected by precision. It's a pretty good one. It's not a bad one at all. And the rest of the POB is pretty much exactly the same as it was before Omni, aside from the fact that we now drop utmost swiftness and we want to anoint Snowforged. That is because we are losing so much penetration that we want to make up for that. And so one more thing that's also important in this build is that now we are using Hydrosphere. That is because without Omniscience, we currently actually need Hydrosphere to apply exposure. And the reason for that is that Omniscience was giving us so much penetration that we were not really needing that, and it was hitting diminishing returns. But now without that, we need to find a way to actually apply a little bit of negative resistance to the enemies, and a good way to do that is to replace our flame dash, which was in the previous POB for Hydrosphere, and we just pop that on bosses or pop that on like very tanky targets, or metamorphs, which are now the uber bosses, and you can chuck that down and you can get -10 resistance on there, and it's very good. If you have capped resistances, you can also take this mastery here to make sure that we are applying -18 resistance instead of -10. So yeah, you would like to ideally cap your resistance without this mastery, and then you just put that mastery on for an additional 8% penetration. And yeah, that is a very effective way to get the enemy resistance down when you need it, and it's something that I would highly recommend. That is pretty much the changes that I would recommend for people that cannot afford Omniscience, or people that do not want to go Omniscience, don't think it's worth it for the current price point, which I completely understand. And yeah, I'm sorry about putting out a build expecting the item to not be that rare. But I mean, I should have expected it since everyone was complaining last league about it being either too strong or too common. So it is what it is. So yeah, this is the changes that I recommend for people that would like to keep doing this build, and hope it goes well. And if you have any questions, join the Discord. Yeah, I appreciate everyone watching the video, commenting, maybe liking it as well. And thanks for being here, and thank you for watching. All right. Peace.